Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Sunday, the 7th of September, 2025. Beginning with the synoptic picture, we can see looking yesterday at lunchtime, there was low pressure as the sort of dominant feature with quite a lot of frontal activity out to the west of Ireland there. We're on the through overnight. It's made a bit of progress towards us in the main uh, front here, this large cold front to note, getting a little bit closer to us. By midday today, we're expecting that the center of the low to have moved slightly more to the north, but this cold front to be just approaching the west coast of the mainland UK and a trough well in our area by that stage. Possibly quite a weak feature. We're not expecting a great deal of weather from that. But I think possibly overnight and into tomorrow, we may see the evidence of that front depending on when it passes. The outlook then into Monday, that trough, this bigger part, that front clearing, but these troughs just hanging around, causing a little bit of problem behind. But then for the remainder of the week, should potentially have some quite nice weather until Wednesday, where it starts to get a little bit poor again. Looking at the sat you can see clear overhead at the moment with a fair amount of clouds to the southwest and west. Now, with the southerly flow that we're seeing there, it's not necessarily coming our way immediately. We will get, I think, some of this cloud later on in the day, but we should remain fairly blue overhead for the next few hours anyway. Rain radar, quite a lot of precipitation within that sort of trough area there on where the front's expected to be later on this afternoon. However, once again, as we said, we just run that through. It's tracking predominantly north, so we might catch the occasional shower, but generally it's going to remain clear of us. We can see in the Met Office forecasts, recognizing that area of rain as well, and throughout today, remaining clear in the morning, and then very little to cause us any issues later this afternoon. That front approaching there by about 3:30 into Wales there. But again, everything's tracking fairly to the north, so remaining clear. The Odium TAF this morning, they had 0905 knots, visibility greater than 10 kilometers, no cloud detected, and fairly low pressure there, 1008. And the Farnborough TAF, saying 1107 knots, so southeasterly, and that's for much of the day between 7 and 4 o'clock. Visibility greater than 10 kilometers with 4,500 feet, becoming a little bit more southerly, 170 at 12, sort of early to mid morning. And there's a prop 30 in for later into the day, 150, 15 gusting 25. And later on in the day as well, possibly 180, 15 gusting 25. So fairly blustery southerly winds today, and southeasterly to begin with. At flying heights to the south of us, southwesterly, 25 knots and 30 knots at 2,000 feet. And to the north, it's southeasterly at 20. Looking locally here to Lasham, we see at the moment southeasterly wind, sort of right lining up with 16 more or less. So we'll begin operations today, runway 16. Looking at the Met Office local forecasts, also showing that southeasterly wind about 13 gusting 25. But mid to late afternoon becoming southwesterly, so there's a potential for changing on to runway 23 later on, depending on the state of play at the time. GFS is giving us temperatures suggesting possibly up to 23 or 24 degrees locally today, obviously feeling a bit cooler with the wind, and dew point of 14. The webcam on the south side at the moment, so just refresh that and see evidence of that southeasterly blue breeze and the nasty looking cloud out to the west, but remaining clear for us for the time being. And local temperature up to 17.7 already, with the dew point of 13.6. Sky set then, left-hand side of the screen is an excerpt of the potential flight distance, and as you can probably imagine, there is nothing on there today, not much of a cross-country day. On the point forecast here, we can see predicting a bit of high cover, which we've got a small amount of, and expecting that maybe to thicken a little bit later on. As we see more of that frontal activity, hopefully holding off any rain, which does certainly appear to be the case here. Very little mid or low level cloud. Possibly slightly, slightly soarable later on in the day, up to about 1,500 feet above the, up to even 2,000 feet in the afternoon above the airfield, but fairly broken up with the wind. And wind around that height is 15 knots at southeasterly. Just looking at what that top cover is doing, this is top meteor's cloud distribution for 9 o'clock local. And you can see just a little bit of thin to medium thickness cirrus there. We just run that through and see a little bit more cloud throughout the day, but sort of cycling with the real bulk of the bad auto Q associated with that front, supposedly arriving potentially around 4 or 5 o'clock local this afternoon, depending on whether that tracks in this direction or if it's going more to the north. No TAMs, nothing of great significance for the Bath and Stacey, as usual, of firing some flares. Just to the northwest of us there, a small cluster, 21, 22, and 23. We've got a variety of parachute jumping and helicopter activity at Highclere Castle at various times, but it will be active between 10:45 and 1600 Zulu, so 11:45 and 1700 local. So generally, if anybody did happen to be up there, some of our motor glide pilots perhaps, just do give it a wide berth. We'll move on now to the local element of the brief. Starting with glider bookings, not particularly busy day today. One K21 on booked instructional flying. There's a K21 for the casualist and a K13 for trial lessons. We have reasonable single seater availability today, and the simulator is available as normal. Reminder again, week 3 for the Boyne expedition, still spaces there for anybody that wants to stick the name down, get in touch with the office. Any questions, come to Ron, Barry, or myself. Movements today, we've got a 737 going out at 4 o'clock local. So we'll look to have the runway clear just before then. And so that's current as of this time. And in summary, got low pressure in the Atlantic driving a southerly flow across the area. Trough and cold fronts presently over the Irish Sea. Hopefully not seeing too much influence from those later on. On runway 16, so please do land well into the field, and we'll have cables on the grass to the east, possibly changing to 2-3 this afternoon. But the change in wind might coincide nicely with the movement, and we will just clear the runway. A reminder for instructors, please don't brief at the front of the queue if there is a queue there, and please be ready when the cable or tug arrives. As always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown in red. And there's our airfield setup to finish with the cables on the east of runway 16 there. Air towing off the western edge and landing well into the field, please. No low approaches over the trees. That's all from me. We'll see you out there shortly. Have a good day and keep it safe. Thank you.